iTiS Will of Worship Fellowship. Today is Thursday, the 6th of June. It's about 12 minutes past 6, meaning it's time for our weekly catch up. The weekly catch up happens every Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Catch up meaning we talk about the top stories of the week, what has made news in Uganda, what has made news in East Africa, in Africa, the world at large. And then in the second hour, we usually transition into a social topic or a social discussion. Something again, probably from the news or from our list of topics. We maintain a list of topics. So if you feel there's something you need us to discuss under the social topic arrangement, please feel free to inbox me. Otherwise, these sessions are recorded and uploaded to YouTube every week. You can always catch all the previous editions there. Today we have a lineup. It's been an action-packed week. We may not have time to go through all of them. But of course, today the President of Uganda delivering the State of the Nation address. That typically happens the week before the budget is read by the Minister of Finance. So next week, Thursday, we expect the budget reading. And of course, like we previously discussed, our budget is now 72 trillion or something like that. Yeah, so the State of the Nation is really like a preamble, the budget reading. So today we want to ask ourselves, what is the state of the nation of Uganda? I don't want us to look at it in terms of what the president has said necessarily. I want us to do our own health checks. We can look at security, we can look at the economy, we can look at education, we can look at infrastructure, energy, and all the other parameters that you feel talk about the state of a nation. So that one is open for us here. That was the first topic we'll discuss. And then last week, I think Wednesday or Tuesday, I don't remember, NUP went to Masaka. By NUP, I mean the president of NUP, Bobi Wine, was in Masaka. Majorly to make a statement against Mpuga and what's this other confused man, Wanika, that NUP is still strong in Masaka. Of course, Mpuga had previously said Masaka is mine. Everybody is behind me. So when Bobi Wine went to Masaka, of course, there were crowds as expected, people following him, many from Kampala, many picked up along the way. And it was a statement if you just follow the media stories and just the numbers of people who showed up. Now, interestingly enough, I think on 12th, Mpuga has organized a rally of his own. So let's see how that plays along. Mpuga has also organized the rally in Masaka on 12th, and he says the Katikiro is going to be the chief guest. So we'll see. We'll see the numbers, if at all we're to judge this on the numbers alone. Yeah, so that's that. And then, of course, because of the accident that happened while Bobi Wine was going to Masaka, police said, no, we need to review these rallies. So stop moving around until we've had a review. Now, obviously, some people think this is politics at play because so many events have been happening, even in Namugongo, where many people were last weekend. I think there were a couple of incidents. Police didn't stop the whole Namugongo experience. So NUP is asking, why is police stopping us? Of course, people will always be people. They'll be excited. They'll jump onto border borders. They'll get knocked down like they always do in campaign seasons. Yeah. So we'll discuss the police halting of Bobi Wine's rally, but also the impact of him going to Masaka, especially after Mpuga and Bwanika had said what they had said. Okay. Has Masaka become the new Mecca, Uganda? Previously, Muhoozi MK went there, PLE went there. Then, of course, the issues of Mpuga and Bobi Wine started. Now, Bobi Wine has gone there with a big rally. Let's see what will happen at Mpuga's rally next week. Yeah, we'll talk about Masaka. Then, the other thing that has continued to make the headlines is this whole impeachment thing led by Sechikubo. Sechikubo is collecting signatures so that the issue of the Commissioner's Service Award is brought to the floor of Parliament. He seems to have gained a bit of weight and heat before, but now it seems like contradictions are starting to happen, including from even opposition members. Previously, when NUP tried this, we said, no, NUP cannot impeach these guys. They just don't have the numbers. And we counted, I think, about just 75. And yet they require about 175. So they needed another 100 from the other side of NRM and probably the independent. So this time it is led by an NRM leaning person in Sechkubo. But even then, the signatures are not there. The opposition itself, all of them have not signed. People like Mohammed Insereko, people like Semuju have not signed. Asumani Basari is making a lot of noise about the same. So, yeah. And then NRM is saying, no, for us, we decide in a caucus. We shall sit as a caucus and decide the fate of these members. So we'll discuss that whole impeachment thing. What is the politics behind it? Because we all know in politics, all moves are very calculated. They don't just happen. If time allows, we'll discuss Donald Trump being convicted of crimes last week, up to 35 crimes. We'll discuss that and the implication on the November election in the US. But also in South Africa, if we get time, ANC lost out quite a bit. They failed to get the 51%. So they have to form a coalition government, and the dynamics there are very interesting because a certain Zuma, former president, has come back very strong. So basically, ANC has to form a coalition either with Zuma or EFF on the other hand. So anyway, if time allows, we'll discuss South African politics. And then in our social talk, we'll talk about mental health and specifically suicide. Last week, I think it was Thursday, there's a gentleman, those of us on Twitter and the digital space would know him, jumped off a building. He seemed to be doing well for himself. He had a couple of government contracts. Of course, he was unmarried at 40. He seemed to be seemed to have everything going for him. And then here he is. He wakes up one morning, pays his rent to the landlord. All people who owed him, rather people he owed money, he pays them. Then he sends a message to the family WhatsApp group, tells them, "Thank you guys. I can't take it anymore. Everything I seem to try does not seem to work out. I just can't take it anymore." So hugs and kisses to my nieces and nephews. They are the only ones who've been making me happy. Yeah, after sending the message, switches off his phone. The next we hear, the man has jumped off a building. So we just want to talk mental health and suicide, especially among gentlemen. Why is it that men don't like to talk? Is it really a mental health issue? Is it stress? Is it what is it that leads people to a kind of decision like suicide? Some people seem to say suicide is actually selfish. You don't care about the others, and yet others will argue that suicide is actually I don't care. I take care of myself first. Self-care is more important. So whatever happens to the others, I don't care. It's all about me. So we'll discuss mental health and suicide in the second hour. Yeah, but for now, let's talk about the state of the nation. Like I said, we're not going to talk about it in the way the president has talked about it. Feel free to look at it from your own angle. There are many parameters. The security, of course, security in the recent times, we've seen kung fu kicks in Kampala. Those of us who live around Kampala, that is a security issue. We've seen robberies. The other time, a mobile money agent was attacked. But generally, you can also look at the country, external threats, internal threats, and so on. So security, the economy, education, infrastructure, whatever you feel makes the state of the nation. So, Kato, let me start with you. What do you think if Uganda was in the doctor's clinic for a health check? What kind of status do you think it would have? What kind of report would we get from the doctor based on those many parameters I've mentioned? Kato? Oh my, am I talking to myself? I hope not. I've been talking for 10 minutes.
me, I was following, if you can hear me.
Okay, maybe Kato is not here. Let me start with you, Isaiah, since you are here. It saves time. If Uganda was in the doctor's office, what kind of report would we get in terms of our health? Would we get a clean bill of health? Would the doctor tell us to watch what we eat because we're on the verge of getting disease, or are we already sick and we need ICU? According to you, what do you think?
Well, by the standards of health, Uganda is not a health state, but if we are to judge Uganda comparatively, I mean, in perspective of all other nations, what they are going through, then we would say that it is fair. which is fairly good. But that does not mean that it is all right. It is suffering, of course. There is too much bleeding, and the causes are due to negligence. So to me, I think the problem of Uganda cannot be entirely fixed, but it can be managed. So the diagnosis would read that we just need serious management, and as long as we can get that into place, then all sectors of Uganda's state can be handled. For instance, security in Uganda is the way it is because of those who are benefiting from the insecurity. So the insecurity in Uganda is there because of those who are benefiting from it. And those range from the ordinary security officer to whom the thugs give a share of what they have stolen and robbed. And then it goes as far as the big politician short who uses those ringleaders to influence a few policies here and here. And of course, the businessmen who use the SOBIs of this country to achieve their goals, like land grabbing, threatening people to leave particular working environments, minimizing and managing competition in the marketplace. So really, you can see that the insecurity levels are growing because they are fueled by those desires by people in the security organs, people in the leadership places, and the financial affluent that need to take their competitors out of the race. So that can be managed. Then the institutions of this government, they are okay, and the people in there are okay. The major problem is the I don't know how they call it, but patronage. Patronage is one of the major problems to the institutions of this republic. For instance, you can't have a professional Bank of Uganda governor, because that will mean that things will be put back into systems, and then you won't have the political money as you want it. The PS is stronger and more powerful than the actual minister. You are not allowed to say anything anyhow in the cabinet meeting because of the sentimental emotions of the chairman of that cabinet, who is almost a grandfather, and who is also the appointing authority. So the legislature cannot operate independently. The parliament cannot operate independently. The cabinet cannot operate independently, and therefore all other institutions follow course. So if you take out that patronage, then we are good to go. The other problem also in the state of the nation is the gerrymandering. We have more districts than we should have, and therefore we have more district heads and all other leaders, of course. That complicates, and hence the humongous budget that we always make, that because we have a budget that we cannot collect because of these gerrymanderings. We always come up with a district, then come up with a district head, then come up with an RDC, then a vice RDC, then a vice RDC. So that increases our budget, and then it goes that. But I guess we are suffering because we have a father of the nation who doesn't have anything to do outside government, who prefers that he rather dies in government and is buried than be out there without the power, etc. But if we can assure him of two things. Number one, that he will stay in power while out of power. Then number two, that he will be safe. I think then that can help. I think President Museveni, I normally give examples here, and I share that on TikTok, that Uganda might suffer the problems of a football club that I support, or I'm a fan of, and that is Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson stayed for a very long time, almost 20 years, and I think over 20 years at Manchester United. He did wonders. He became very influential. He could even back at the FA, and all the referees feared him. We enjoyed for those of my age that started supporting Manchester United for the last 20 years. We really enjoyed, because we had a powerful coach and an influential coach, and we won big. So we thought that Manchester United was powerful. That is what we thought. Little did we know that it was Alex Ferguson who was actually powerful. So when he left with his influence and affluence, and ever since he left, and I think that is over 13 years, I guess. Is it 13 years, Jet?
Yeah.
Yeah, over 13 years, we have suffered ever since he left. We have changed from one coach to another, but our problems have not yet been fixed till today. It is not only the team that suffered, but also the club itself, because the two are different. Also, the club has suffered, so we need a rebuild from the club level to the administration level, and then to the structure of the team itself, So we have a lot of things to do at Manchester United. And that is not, I disagree with people who say that is the problem of overstaying. No, that's not the problem of overstaying. No, that is a problem of not doing the right things, regardless of how long you stay. So I guess Uganda will suffer if they are not careful. They will suffer the Manchester United problem. And that problem will be caused by the idea that Uganda is all right, because Uganda today is all right. But the big question is, why is Uganda all right? And I can assure you guys, whether you like Museveni or not, Uganda is all right because of Museveni. Museveni is a very, very, very big figure, not only in Uganda, but in East Africa and Africa altogether. So whatever functions in Uganda functions because of President Museveni, and whatever fails in Uganda has failed because of President Museveni. Now, that is very dangerous. Why? Because when he leaves, all that has been functioning because of him won't function, and all that failed because of him, might resurface again, and whatever has failed might be both good and bad, and we will have to suffer that. So it is, I think I love President Museveni with all my heart, but two things. If he comes back next term, 2026, he needs now to save us from himself. He should use that term to save Uganda from Museveni. And he's the only person who can save us from himself. I pray that he does that. He can do that in various ways. First of all, getting rid of the patronage. That's number one. Grooming a successor, who is not like him and who is far away from him. I guess his son can wait. and we first have that successor to organize and restructure Uganda. He needs to do that. Yeah, so I think that is one of the things that he needs to do to help us save us from himself, because Uganda is dependent on President Museveni. I don't care whether you like him or not. You should actually pray that President Museveni lives longer, because if President Museveni is now the center that holds, that old man that you see, he's the center that holds. I can assure you, if he left or if he died this night, tomorrow Uganda won't be as stable as we assume. It just won't be. It just won't be. Given the greed that he has nurtured here, the licentiousness, the liberality that you see in Uganda. Ugandans are very, in fact, the most unserious people in East Africa are Ugandans, and that has been intentional. That has been intentional. So we need, for me, the State of the Nation address, the president had to tell us his plan of saving us from himself. That's one. And if we are to get rid of him, we must give him the two promises that I talked about earlier. One, that is going to stay in power, outside power. Second, that he will be safe. Again, I'll go back to the Manchester United example. We have an office of Sir Alex Ferguson in his retirement, and he's running a few things at Manchester United. He was actually at a certain point negotiating a certain transfer of Eze of Newcastle. So we need to demonstrate to President Museveni that he will still participate and have a stake on this country, even when he's out of power. And I think that is how we can rebuild Uganda. That's how we can redirect Uganda. I don't want to hear anyone who says that let's get rid of President Museveni. Let's go on the streets and then we chase him. Then you are talking of another Sudan. That's what you're talking about. So, moderator, the state of the nation is that we are stuck with that old man. Thank you.
By the Sudan, just that it's out of the news, but they're actually fighting.
Yes.
What is happening in Sudan is not good.
Yeah, and it's because they didn't respect Bashir.
Yeah, anyway, let's hear from the others. Yeah, those who have just joined in, we're discussing the state of the nation. Basically, if Uganda was at the doctor's hospital or clinic, what sort of report would it get in terms of the economy, health, education, infrastructure, security, you name it? That's what we're discussing. Peter, can you talk?
Hello.
Yes, sir. State of the nation, in your opinion.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to talk about the education, the world of education, or the field of education. I was listening to my elder brother, Mwenda Andrew, and in his analysis, he mentioned that the world has gone STEM. The world has gone STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And in that clip, he talked about 4 things that Africa, or Uganda in particular, should embrace, because these 4 things are what the rest of the world is riding on. The following 4 things: artificial intelligence, robotics, synthetic biology, and quantum computing. In his view, he argues that not until our education system fits in these 4 visions, or in these 4 elements: AI, robotics, synthetic biology, and quantum computing, we shall remain as we are, or we shall remain underdeveloped. Now, that is his analysis. And in his analysis, I would like to mention that I think that is one of the problems of Africa, or that's the problem of most of us, not only Africa, but most of us here, what I call the fallacy of what I call the fallacy of standardization, what I call false standardization. To think, or the fallacy of false universalization, to think that what is trending in the so-called developed world must be adapted or must be adopted so that we encounter or we experience the same development. And that's what is happening in our education system. We have adopted a curriculum known as the competence-based curriculum. We adopted it from the so-called developed world, and we have carried it on here, lock, stock, and barrel. Everything. So we always keep on riding on the backs or on the philosophies and the ideologies that we have not yet understood. We always conclude that since it has worked here or it has worked there, then it will work here. So as a teacher at university, we have 4 or 5 elements that we interest our learner with, and they are summarized in an acronym, KUSIVA. KUSIVA, K for knowledge, U for understanding, S for skills, V and A for attitude, KUSIVA. But the learner or the learners, the teachers, the parents are still fixed, The philosophy of our education system, what Pastor Isaiah calls our academic system, not our education system. The problem is that we are still marks oriented. Parents are still looking for that A class. They're still looking for a D1, for a D2. Teachers and the learners the same. So you discover that these good things, these excellent things, knowledge, understanding, skills, values, and attitudes, KUSIVA, these always remain in the book. They remain in the syllabus book, in the curriculum book. They are never materialized. So if our education still only, if the philosophy of our education is to produce employable citizens, because that is the philosophy of the new lower secondary school curriculum, to produce or to churn out citizens with employable skills. In other words, somebody is not ashamed to tell you that if what you're teaching has no money worth, do not teach it. Do not spend your time teaching anything whose worth has no monetary value or monetary attachment. So you end up having children or students or learners who are less concerned about knowledge. They don't give a damn about understanding. They don't mind whether they have obtained the skills or not. Their values and attitude systems remain unchanged. And in the end, you graduate them. Okay, I've told you over and over again how I'm lionly attacked, ferociously attacked, because learners fail. So it is an abomination now to mark a script and the learner fails. So we have resorted, without shame, we have resorted to passing the learner. And in fact, if you insist on educating or helping the learner understand these things, you're alienated and your name comes next on the shooting list. So the state of our schools, the state of our school system, allow me to call it a school system, the state of our school system is alarming. We need some kind of revolutionizing our attitudes. Our parents should have their minds revolutionized. The learner, the teacher. We need to understand that we need to define our problems, our principal problems, so that we address them here. But every time we universalize, every time we think that what applies in the United States, what applies in UK, what applies in China is universal, what ultimately comes out, or the result in the end is Americanization, Europeanization, and lately Chinization. And never do we understand our problem.
Thank you, Peter. I think you've made your point, and you make a very interesting point. So as you analyze the state of Uganda, the health of Uganda, like today, in terms of GDP, that's for the economy, and is it fair then to judge Uganda against the rest of the world, or we should look at where Uganda has come from and where it is and where it is going? In which case, you people do not like the in 1986 argument. In 1986, it was so and so. Now we are here. Yeah. So Peter makes an interesting point about education, but I think we could apply it to Uganda as well. So if you've just joined us, we are analyzing the state of the nation. Basically, what does Uganda look like? What are the health indicators of a healthy nation? Peter seems to say those indicators are international. Museveni prides in Uganda being a lower middle income status nation now. Again, that's an international standard, but is there a way to actually look at Uganda independent of the rest of the world? Isn't Uganda part of this web called the globe, or the global economic web, and so on and so forth? Bob, can you speak about the state of the nation, Uganda? Okay, Bob is busy. Tom, can you talk? State of the nation? The president has been talking about corruption at Kololo. I don't know if any of you followed his speech. I was basically saying, now we know the corrupt people. I've got information about them. They are going to see me this time.
Modulator.
Yes, Peter, you're back.
Yeah, something little. I wonder if I shared it last time. One of the comments Honorable Samujunganda made about members of parliament, that as we draw near to the reading of the budget, over 65% of the members of parliament do not read. So I think that still goes back to the criteria of one, the criteria that we consider for one to become a member of parliament. But also, it also emanates from what we've understood education to be. So somebody is going to discuss a budget in 2 days or in the next few days. Somebody is going to be there in the parliament to discuss a budget they have not read. And those who have dared to read, they do not have the impetus, they don't have the capacity to interpret the budget. I think we have a problem there. The state of the nation is that the heads who are meant to interpret, to help us understand intricate issues of society, like budgeting and how the taxpayers' money or resources are being used in Uganda, cannot or do not read. And those who dare to read can hardly interpret. So we find we need to find a means. Probably we need to find a means, like Priest rightly observes, that we are unserious. We are unserious. I was thinking that
Peter, you're taking up Tom's time, eh? You're taking up Tom's time and we are time bound, but I think your point has been made. Thank you. Tom, you've been patient
Yes,
with
sir.
this lecturer here. State of the nation, Uganda, in your view.
State of the nation or state of the nation address. First of all,
Microphone here now.
my president told us nothing. There's nothing he told us new. His speech was as predictable as it was 20 years back. He therefore told us nothing. I want to agree with Isaiah White that we are stuck as a nation and we are as helpless as we are stupid. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being brief. Banga, NUP spokesperson. Can you talk?
Thank you for the title, sir. Fortunately, I'm not any spokesperson. I am simply a spectator, like many of you. I don't even qualify to be an analyst.
Hey.
Recuse myself from some of us.
Your audio is as terrible as Tom's. Is it because both of you are NUP or what? Your sound is so bad.
I'm keeping when I have a better audio.
Hmm? Hello? Banga, we can't hear you, unfortunately. Let's move to the next one. So last week, in the interest of time, last week the police halted the NUP consultation rallies. That's after Bobi Wine went to Masaka. Masaka, which is Mpuga and Wanika's backyard. He actually showed them that he's still popular there. Previously, Mpuga and Wanika had given an impression that they are the owners of Masaka. Bobi Wine is not actually welcome. They famously said, "Don't bring those red overalls here. Those red overalls are overseers, bum shafters," as the speaker likes to call them. Yes, Bob, you're back.
Sorry.
Your network is bad.
Mute, then I realize I'm. No. I'll just, how about, yeah?
Okay, that's okay. Continue.
Yeah, I wanted to make just a small line on the State of the Nation address before you move into the overall thing of what I've already gone. I think it's just the old saying which we have. I mean, the saying which we have all heard about that. Your actions speak louder. I cannot hear what you're saying. I don't know whether you guys have heard of that saying or that statement. That you are so loud, I cannot hear what you're saying. Your actions are so loud, I cannot hear what you're saying, what you're speaking. So this is the thing with Sevo. He has been speaking about corruption, about trying to do development, about all these things, but his actions are completely different. When you speak about corruption, but then you tell the IGG not to investigate your army, not to investigate your people who get the money, but they don't take. I mean, they may be scared, or they may take it out of Uganda. If you speak about corruption, but there are people who are not untouchable. When we look at your budget, when we look at the budget that that is passed, or that which you really dictate again. When we look at the supplements you're asking, it is all about enriching your state house. It's all about more and more money going to your security and yours, securing your own future, but not that of your country. Then we really can't hear what you're saying. So you will keep making your speeches and they will mean nothing. So that is what I wanted to talk about, this speech of the nation. Yeah.
Okay, Bob is done. Sorry, I dropped off. Yes. Now, Mpanga, can you talk? Are you in a better place now?
Yes, moderator. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yes, now I can hear you better. Please proceed. State of the nation. Then you can also
Okay,
talk about Masaka.
I need a minute. I need a minute. Let me give somebody a chance as I prepare something here.
Okay. Isaiah, let's talk about Masaka. Does Mpuga really have Masaka like he claims? Or it's just politicking and gimmicks? Because Bobi Wine last week showed him that he's still popular there, at least based on the crowds, quote unquote. If that is an indicator of popularity. What do you have to say?
One of the things that that President Museveni first dealt with is the idea of kingpins and opinion leaders in the politics of Uganda. That Museveni destroyed. He even went to the extent of being indirectly in charge of cultural leaders and leadership. Because one of the things that President Museveni is careful with is having a kingpin. In other words, when Museveni goes to the north, he has to go through Mao. Whenever Museveni dictates that, he does away with Mao. Either he wins him to his side or frustrates him and makes sure that that kingpin embarrasses himself or herself, and his constituency loses hope in his leadership. So to me, in Uganda today, I don't know of any in Uganda. He superintends over the biggest region in Uganda and commands too much respect. But we know how politics has treated him and how far he can use his powers. So to answer your question, Mr. Moderator, that does Mpuga have Masaka, or does Masaka does not belong to anyone, not to Mpuga, not to Bobi Wine. It doesn't. It really doesn't. The regions of Masaka look like the masses of Uganda, the political masses. Those masses that Kyagulanyi is exhibiting, Sebagala had the same, Besigye had the same, and more, you know. So moderator, there was nothing there. There was nothing there. But again, we must now talk about the region itself. Masaka. Masaka is very crucial to the politics of Uganda, and that's why our politicians are flocking there. And I'm sure very soon Museveni also will be going there to Masaka after Mpuga, I guess. Because Masaka, because Buganda is the biggest region and the most influential region in Uganda, Masaka is the heart of the biggest influential region, which is Buganda. So everyone would like
no longer Luwero.
No, it is no longer Luwero. Luwero, it's no longer Luwero, because Luwero's power is in its history, but now we are dealing with the current politics. So everyone will be going to Masaka, etc. But you see, what is important in Masaka is what is going to be birthed there. So as far as the 2026 politics is concerned, I am confused, to be honest. I thought that Lukwago was coming. But what I'm reading demonstrates that it is Mpuga coming.
On the Buganda ticket.
Yes. Looks like it is in Puga coming. But I thought it was Lukwago coming. So I don't know how the Mpugas are going to work with the Katonga guys. I am still investigating that. Then I don't know where all this will leave Kyagulanyi. Because the next propaganda against Kyagulanyi is going to be abo bayaye bavuma obwakabaka. That is what they are going to use against Kyagulanyi. So I don't know whether Kyagulanyi will retain his 50 plus MPs by 2025. And I don't know how many MPs will Kyagulanyi again produce to the next parliament, given the thing. So Masaka is just preparing another Kyagulanyi. That is what it is doing. It doesn't belong to anyone. Mpuga will come back to the parliament. So will Bwanika, who insults Kyagulanyi like he wants. So will Bwanika. So what Kyagulanyi did in Masaka was just a chivuru. If I were him or if I was him, I wouldn't have gone to Masaka. I just wouldn't have gone to Masaka before Mpuga. I would have gone to Masaka after Mpuga's party and occasion. That's when I would have gone back to Masaka. For now, Mr. Moderator, I think that is it. It is about those gymnastics. And Kyagulanyi doesn't seem to be playing real politics, but is just into his usual thing, excite the gullible masses, exhibit that, have those injuries, capture the documentary. You saw the guy who was on the pulpit with Kyagulanyi with an iPhone. So we are on to part 2, where we can collect funds from the whites, and then we get out of this whole thing with our money. That is for Kyagulanyi, really.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaiah. NUP people are going to kill you. Peter, was that Masaka just a chivuru or it was serious?
Hello.
Can hear you. Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In drama, we have a stage director, and we have characters, and we have a stage. In the politics of Uganda, we have a stage director, Mr. Museveni. We have a stage, which is the geography or the geopolitical place or the geopolitical space of Uganda. And we have several characters whom the stage director chooses at will or controls at will. You know, the stage director is behind who the follow spot should fall on. In theater, we have what we call follow spots. Follow spots are those kinds of lights. Usually it's a bright light, a white light that keeps on following who the stage or who the character on stage is, or the main character. And then we have spectators or the audience. The politics of Uganda is one huge drama. A lot, wonderfully crafted, with characters known as members of parliament, with characters known as members of opposition and opposition. Like I've said, and I'll say again, because we are wallowing in an ideology that we've never understood, the ideology of what we call republicanism or multi-partyism or democracy. We shall always remain behaving like monarchies, but wearing the garb of democracy, wearing the garb of election democracy, multi-partyism, and all those fancy sounding terminologies. Africa, and I'm gonna say Africa, or the greatest part of Africa, only has one thing it understands: monarchy. That's why people do not follow ideologies, they follow persons, because our genetics, somehow, our ideological genetics is a kingpin-based ideology. We follow individuals. We do not follow what they say. We do not follow what is right. We do not follow ideologies that can change. And then another thing is that Africa is an amalgamation of a multiplicity of identities or identifications. In fact, not identities, identifications. And we've never appreciated who we are, at least by those identifications. And if we have, then we have done so on a sectarian ground. So what am I saying? It is tear causing. The politics in Uganda is tear causing. It's one huge piece of drama seated on a shithole, like Trump has called it. So, you know, you have this big shitter, Mr. Museveni, with his shitmates, the members of parliament, the so-called opposition, and nothing changes. It is one huge cycle, a vicious cycle, coming back to where we started and going to where we ended. And the cycle continues. Nothing changes. And that's all, unfortunately.
Thank you, Peter. Peter has called us a shithole. Panga's hand is up. I guess he's ready to speak now. Panga, please.
Thank you, moderator. Good evening, everybody. Good
You have
afternoon.
a lot of things to talk about. You have State of the Nation. You have Masaka.
Yeah,
I know I'm going to start.
I'll just try to be quick. First of
Sure.
all, it's been a minute, guys.
Yeah.
As one of the members of this forum, I feel sad when I miss your engagement. But it is what it is. First of all, moderator, so much has happened in our country. But for you want us to discuss the state of the nation. But like Mr. Pio was asking, is it the state of the nation or the state of the nation address? For me, allow me to focus more on the state of the nation called Uganda. Because there was a question, well, just when I was joining, like, should we play the state, should we judge Uganda based on the rest of the world, or should we look at Uganda based on its achievement from like the 1986 crew wants us to always say, in 1986. So one of the things that Mr. Museveni has always been proud about was that, or that he has always echoed time and again, was that Uganda was an enclave. Those of you who are keen, when he's talking, usually wants to refer to the Uganda of 1970s as an enclave. Briefly, he was trying to say, or he's always trying to allude to the fact that Uganda was isolated. So for me, I do not want to talk about Uganda away from the rest of the world. Yeah, you've seen how Isaiah always downplays statistics and figures as just a media gymnastics. But, you know, we cannot, even just back to our own levels, what is it that we're doing to promote and to give people confidence that this is where we are, this is where we've been? Anyway, so if you ask me, what is the state of Uganda at the moment? I'll just tell you, one, it is a country marred by high levels of insecurity. Like all of you guys are aware, the streets of Kampala are unsafe. You cannot walk, and if you're to walk on the streets of Kampala, you need to be 100% aware of your environment. You literally have to have peripheral vision. You must be able to have eyes in all directions of your head, forward, east and left, east and west, then south, north, almost sometimes even above your head. That is the state of the nation. The other thing is, our state of the nation is marred by high levels of corruption. To the extent that the most corrupt or the corrupt are celebrated. I'll give you guys an example. I was on this very forum when I told you the act that took you guys, you moderator and your crew, to Masaka, just at the helm of Mpoga's 500 million.
Mpanga, you've abandoned me with those guys.
You and the Isaiah. I told you guys that
Mpanga, that's not fair, but continue.
it was not a very good sign that you guys went to Masaka, because you were trying to, you know what you were trying to do. And then let me just take you back to what's happening in the parliament now. The whole signature collection nonsense and things like that. If you ask me, like I said, I don't speak for NUP, but if you ask me, I don't want NUP to be part of this whole rubbish, because it's total garbage. What
But
they are
it is
doing
the owner, but is the owner of the project.
Okay. What they are doing in parliament is simply sanitizing the 500 million reward or award. If you can predict, and if you've been in this country more long enough, you know where this is heading. Before we know it, the NRM caucus will be in. Before we know it, somebody is going to run to court. And these are things that we've known, and these are the things that are going to happen. And if they're not already happening. So what is going to happen is that somebody is going to forge figures and say, yeah, these things were there in the budget, but you didn't read it. You MPs are a bunch of sleep diehards, so you come and sleep, figures are passed around, you don't read. I've had that narrative even in this forum today.
It's not
Secondly,
a narrative, it's a fact.
Secondly, Isaiah, it is a fact, yes. Your MPs, even your president said, send me people who can just sleep. When it's time for voting, they'll just raise their hand and vote NRM.
The whole of the umbrella or taking have not signed.
What you call a fact. Moderator, protect me from echoism. So
Isaiah, let Mpanga speak. I'll give you a chance.
It is a fact. So, but we know that we've seen the minutes of the meetings, we've seen the budgets when the award was being discussed. We've seen the members who were in the meeting. Now they have forged figures, they have forged meetings, they forged minutes. So they are trying to sanitize. So there's going to be a time when people are going to say the award was legitimate. Let's forget about this whole thing. And they will have sanitized it. Now, if it were Gamba, when that happened, the guy even came and apologized and said that to resign. So right now he cannot. So the state of the nation called Uganda is marred by corruption. So those are two things so far: insecurity and corruption. And then insecurity, guys, we have put in positions of securing this country the most educated guys, the guys who we've invested in money to even go to Sandhurst. We have decorated them with titles in the ranks of this country. They are generals, they are major generals, they are 4-star generals, I think they just want 8 stars to be able to act. But we know what they are doing. They are not there by own merit. They're just there because of patronism, somebody's gambanogo, things like that. So they are not working. So the state of the nation called Uganda is marred by high levels of high cost of living. You people can barely afford basics of life. What's the cost of a liter of gas or fuel right now? I don't know, but it's in the region, I think, of 800 to 6,000. I don't think that's affordable. So is there a willingness for anyone to address those things? Your guess is as good as mine. Because if you want to address if your aim is to make people afford life, your goal should be people should be able to retain as much income as they can in their pockets, because that's what runs the economy. The budget you're passing today, how much of that budget is going into your? I'm referring to things like things that real, the money that cannot be seen moving around in the economy. You're going to steal money and raise a skyscraper. A quarter of those, 3/4 of the floors on that skyscraper are going to be empty. There's nobody who is going to be in that. And then, quickly, I wanted to just sum up some of these things. Quickly to the Kyagulanyi and Masaka scenario. I agree with Isaiah that Kyagulanyi he played well initially with the Mpoga issue. In my opinion, he played so well. Yalaba omubbi n'amukuba ku nkoona, genda ku maaniina, genda. He should have just kept quiet at that moment. Kubanga we saw the Pilau crew embarrassing themselves, going all over Masaka, celebrating, Minister ne babba Pilau, ne babba omuceere, ne babba sente. Now, we would be on the stage enjoying the drama. What are you doing in Masaka now? What are you doing in Masaka?
Because I'm drama itself.
Okay, so but you see that drama I'm saying was well played out in the start. Don't go to Masaka. Don't go. The things they are accusing Kyagulanyi of, CSOC. They've accused so many guys before who have attempted to oppose Museveni of so many things. You know? Semogiriri was accused of being anti-Kabaka. You know? Ono Besigye was a rapist, according to Museveni and his crew, at some point.
Mukuru Mpanga.
Yes, sir.
Bw'oba n'abantu nga bo enkola yaabwe yabutanaaba. Bwe buli lw'okwata ebbaako ogenda onaabe, buli lw'onaaba ofuuka outcast. Kyagulanyi bw'asonga kuba corrupt abali ate guba musango aboolebwa ayogererwa ebigambo byonna byonna ne bajjayo n'obulambo bwe obwaziikibwa edda anyenjaga drama.
Isaiah got opposition.
Moderator, wali badde ojja nga tetukujjukiza nti Isaiah akuyingirira ssebo. Naye osirika busiri.
Aba-NUP mwe abaliko munnaye mwogera.
Bwe tukuyoola ne tutwala Masaka okuba enduulu naye nga gwe ne Isaiah muli kimu. Wamumpanga kye mbadde ngomba kito neyanza ssebo obudde bwose.
Yes, sir.
Mpanga ng'omaliriza wamu obudde bwagenze.
Tomuleka akole point ye. Just point of information.
Agimaze point ye.
Kulowooza ebeera nnene ya NUP tebeera nnene.
Omusajja bandedde mpanga maliriza wamu.
Kati ye mpanga batamanyi point nnene.
Ayi bannange Isaiah. Moderator wamaze. So n'olwekyo
ng'omaliriza ssebo.
Mpuuga bagenda mu embarrassing father. Agenda kujja bamuzimbisiza. They've made him, feel big. Ndi wakitiibwa nina amaanyi. I have a command. And then he will find himself on a ballot somewhere. And he'll be embarrassed. So ebibitibwa tuba embarrassing. And you guys, I must tell you this. This is a different generation of what the mumanyi. This generation, see a generation jogamba mbu omukulu taddibwamu. Before oli mukulu toddibwamu, why are you opening your mouth? If you open your mouth, we shall critique you based on what you're saying. If you don't want to be critiqued, shut the fuck up. Sirika, bota sirika, tujja ku critiquinga simanyi kabaka tayogerwako, gundi tayogerwako. This is a generation that is woke. You know what I mean by a woke generation? It is woke. So, namwe abali kweno forum bw'oba oyogera tujja kuddamu. Moderator naawe tujja
Banga. Ekyokera ddala. buli muntu aliwo anayogera saidi nze sogerako kusaidia nti tuwa PLU simanyi
tukumanyi naawe tukumanyi gwe Isaiah
anti obutayogera tekitegeeza nti tolina saidi. Ekyokubiri ebikolwa byo byogera louder than ebigambo byo. Kati gwe okusirika n'ovaako n'ekikola kyokola tumanya gy'ogwa.
bwe nsirika nesitowagire olwo ngwa saidi eri
ate eno tewagirayo naye wagira eri oli wa yero.
ate mbagira eri kyekiraga bannaye kyekiraga nti
mwewaleyo ngenda kujjukiza ejja kukuzikiza
Thursday jattomu nja kuwayo ekyansi okunyonyola abantu
nkole ki
onyonyola abantu bakiyolooza mpagira ye wena empanga ngenda bawayo essaawa naye olwaliro buli butuli buli
kale
Bobi atanafuna mukisa kwogera ku nsonga eno. Bobi tuli ku Masaka sebo very briefly obudde bukitwala
Wamumpulira?
tukuwulira awo woli.
Okay. Yeah, Masaka, for sure, it wasn't necessary for NUP to go to Masaka. But I mean, they just wanted to make a point. One of the issues, the problems we have in Uganda is selfishness. There's a lot of selfishness, and we don't have anyone who really looks ahead. Not even Museveni, not even Chagulanyi, not even any leader. I think the Chagulanyi has made it a point that for him his focus is to remove Museveni out of the whatever. Of course, in his naivety, he's tried to do what he can. Naye atomarusa bamutomeza mu bisenge unknowingly. So as I said, I mean, some time back, for me, probably the person I would have, liked to lead this nation would be a person like Mugisha Monto, because, been in the army, we know his character from what we see. And it seems he's more composed. It seems he thinks through things more thoroughly and tries to appeal to Uganda as a whole, And but the way politics in Uganda works is that people go with the Omontu. How can I term it? A singer of I don't want to say even of Kulekana, but I don't know what to. A singer popular who is popular at the time. I would like to agree with Isaiah that Masaka is not owned by Bobi Wine, it's not owned by Mpuga, it's not owned by anyone. It is even it is not owned by Buganda. I want to bring this out that Buganda has nothing to do with Mbono to Buganda Mwanze Kedo. So if you Isaiah Badoloza Buganda Smanya Akuleta Smanyi Elias Lukwago Smanyi Katrai Kabagena Kuleta Mpuga. There's nothing like this is a Buganda candidate. No. Otherwise, okay, maybe I got you wrong. But there's nothing like Buganda will say, this is our candidate. Abantu wa Uganda, they will follow who they want to follow at the time, given the circumstances. Time will come when Bobi Wine will not be popular. There's something I don't like about Bobi Wine. But he at the moment is the person on the scene, and we need to move forward with I mean, if there's an alternative, we know how Museveni has where Museveni has brought Uganda, and the answer is nowhere. Okay, there's nothing like success of Uganda. There's nothing like I mean, in Uganda, because when you involve yourself in everything, when you micromanage everything. In fact, here, for example, in the US, of course, there are different systems, but we rarely even hear about what Biden has said. The guys are involved in very top decisions of things to do with immigration, things to do with economic policy. But this guy involves himself even with the lowest chapati seller on the street, you know. And as you said, he's Uganda, he's a problem of Uganda. So we have that issue. Museveni is in control of everything. He wields a lot of power, and this is not good for our country. And unfortunately, the people who, so that's why Ugandans jump on anyone who is most popular, who is at the time, because the aim is not to see a very bright Uganda ahead, but we need to remove our problem. Okay, so if it's Bobi Wine who is galvanizing more support and is gonna help us remove our problem, we'll rally behind him. If tomorrow it is King Saha.
Thank you.
Hello.
But I think
Okay.
Isaiah, just respond in 1 minute.
No, I would like to inform all the people on this call that I have already registered myself as the biggest critic to this government. And my only crime is critiquing someone I love. So the opposition in Uganda have personal issues with those they are competing with. And that is the difference between me and them. I don't have any personal issue with President Museveni and his thing. And I normally critique him. And moderator, if they listen to my first presentation, I critiqued President Museveni and demonstrated him as the major problem of this country. That I did, regardless of my desire for him as a man and as a leader. So really, we are dealing with very dramatic people, and we cannot blame them. You just can't judge a fish because it has not walked ably. Kyagulanyi is an artist. Eventually, he will be back on stage as a singer. So we do not blame him. We only blame people like Impanga, people like Tom, who believe that this fish will walk where there is no water. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. In the interest of time, let's move to our social topic. Kato, I want to start with you. Kato, are you there? You've been quiet. I called on you earlier and you didn't respond. I thought you had stepped out. Are you back now? Anyway, as we get into our social topic, last week, like I said in the intro.
I'm on moderate.
Sorry? Last week we had a gentleman committing suicide. Those of you who knew him or at least were following him on social media, it seemed like he was accomplished. He had his own business. He had some government contracts, some private contracts. He seemed accomplished, except in one area of marriage. He was single at 40. Some think that probably drove him to jump off a building. I don't know why that would cause him to jump off a building. Some have attributed this to mental health, saying, people are sick, they need support. But all who knew him, even last week before he was facilitating a class, he seemed jolly. He had plans. He even told them he's releasing some software very soon. You should watch out for it. And then a week later, he's writing a letter to the family WhatsApp group saying, I have nothing else to live for. Whatever I've tried has refused. The only thing I can do now is leave this world. Kisses to my nieces and nephews. Bye. And then he switches off his phone. Next thing, he has jumped off a building. Of course, I don't know that it's so conclusive to run to mental health as the only issue. But basically, what I want to discuss, since majority here are men, the only lady we have here is Runji, my lovely mother. Some of these issues have been attributed to men not talking. Men don't share. Men don't they don't share with their friends. Unlike women, who when they have a problem they call on their friends. Oh, can you imagine my husband did ABCD? Can you imagine my boss at work? Things like that. Men somehow mukifiiramu temwogera bintu byammwe ofanga musajja paka nga weetuze. So that's what I want us to discuss this evening. Kato, are you there? And in a world where stress is now the #1 driver of mental health issues, I don't know what men are going to do. So Kato, we're talking mental health, we're talking suicide. and of course with the real example. Even in Kenya, by the
Yeah.
another gentleman did the same.
Good evening, everyone on this call. Concerning mental health, first of all, you have to react on the first issue where you called me on politics things. I beg you always spare me on those things because I'm still amateur and I'm just trying to follow politics.
You always
recently.
excuse
I'm
yourself
on
when I
active
call
recently.
you.
Okay. Thank you. I believe mental health is important based on the issues the world is going through at the moment with this inflation, with a lot of stress at work, insecurity. So, and to me, since most of us now we don't share our issues with a number of people, or you find you don't have mentors, at least the people who always reassure you that maybe your life is kind of valuable and you are just having a reason to always push on. Me myself, I ever had a thought of questioning why I'm even here, questioning my relevancy and whatnot. And honestly, if I'm honest and objective, the major answer that I got when I was doing that, and it was way back when I was in vocational for senior 6, I think it was in 2017. I couldn't see really core essence of being here, and after all, you find don't have active mentors, the people you can always talk to. So if in news we see such kind of incidences happening, you find someone terminating their life, it means that the things that give them hope have been dropping from the list, and you reach a point whereby you feel there is nothing now you can do to the society with all that is happening. So I guess combating these kinds of these problems is at least maybe I think associations, or maybe the elderly, the people who are old, who have experienced this world, to keep in check with their sons or daughters or what, and teaching them valuable lessons, at least being hopeful while you are alive. And here you would agree with priest whereby now the whatever the gospel he preaches, when we come to God and whatnot, it is really unlikely when you have what motivates you, if it is a God and you can pray and do what, all that one can keep you in check from this kind of stressful things that might make you question your existence and why you should even live to see tomorrow. Yeah, that's what I can say, moderate.
Thank you, Kato. Peter, you might think this kind of stress is only for the elderly, like some of us, but even the young kids. I've met 20-year-olds who think I've done nothing with my life. There's a 20-year-old in New York who has a Lamborghini, and here I'm just in Essex vacation with nothing to my name. So this pressure is actually from a young age. Kato has told you he was in Essex vacation and he had suicidal thoughts, What do you think causes this, and how can we solve this?
Yes, sir. Hello?
If at all we can. Yes, sir.
Juzi oba ku Monday nayogera ngamba engeri bbiri era nti ensi eno, obulamu bw'ensi eno buzibu nnyo, buzibu. Kale nno buli bw'ofunanga engeri y'okukendeezaako ku buzibu obwo, kyandibadde ky'amagezi ogirowoozeeko. Ekyo kimu. Ekyokubiri, obulamu bw'ensi eno bwangu nnyo. Kale nno tobukalubya. nayogera ku ebyo ebintu ebyo ebibiri era nenyongera neŋŋamba nti bannange waliwo emboozi mu bulamu bwaffe ezaateeka emitendera egisalawo obulamu obulungi nga kwegamba obulamu obulungi kitegeeza kuba na kino kitegeeza kuba na kino kitegeeza kuba bwoti ku myaka gino kitegeeza kuba bwoti ku myaka giri kyetaaga kuba bwoti ku myaka giri kati emboozi ezo nazo zitutuddemu owezezza emyaka 4 omwana gw'olina tannaweza na myaka 3 ali omu olaba okula ate olina okuweerera tonnazimba tolina yadde poloti gye baali bakubbyeko nti wagula empewo kati n'obeera mu bulamu bwe butyo kati obulamu ne bubanga bulina standards z'otalowoozanga nako ekirala oba njogere katono oba n'abanga agenze ku mmande bannange abamu kuffe abakkiriza abakkiriza nti waliyo the god the god kwegamba bannange n'ekintu ekyo kikulu kintu ekyo kikulu kwegamba bw'obanga ne Katonda wamutegeera waliwo omuntu nga ne Katonda tamukkiriza naye ate waliwo n'abakkiriza naye nga ne Katonda baamutegeera bubi oba baamutegeera bulala kakati n'obeera mu bulamu obulamu buno bunyiga kyokka ne ultimate solution abamu ku ffe gye tulowooza nayo nga wagitegeera bulala kakati n'obanga obulamu buno buba bukaluba ekisembayo kikulu nnyo n'okutegeera nti mu nsi eno ebintu bigaana naye munnange tuli mu nsi nga ffe tulowooza wano waffe buli kimu kirina kuyitamu obeera wano ebintu ne bigaana
lwaki bikola ewagundi ewange
nanti naye waliwo ebigaanye naye kikulu nnyo otegeera nti otandika amaka ne gagaana n'oyagala omuntu kwagala ne kugaana n'oyagala okukola investments ne zigaana naye ebimu ne biyitamu ate nabyo ne bitawangaala olidde naye gwe okulowooza nti buli kyokola kirina kuyitamu oba nti wano byokola birina kuyitamu bintu bizibu nnyo so endowooza ezo njogedde kutegeera Katonda obubi oba obutakkiririza ddala Katonda yadde njogedde ku mboozi ezaateeka sitandada mu mitima gyaffe bye tutalowoozanga nako buli kimu kirina nsalessale n'obuuza oba ani yakugamba buli kimu n'oba nga wakiwansalessale n'ekisembyeyo kye njogeddeko okulowooza nti wano w'oli buli kyokola kirina kuyitamu obutategeera nti tuli mu kifo ng'ebintu bigaana oweza emyaka 6 nga lw'ofuna omwana agenda ku ssomero ng'okyagenda mu nassale okumutwala mu kindagaate ogamba ebintu bizibuwala bwe tutabitegeera obuuka n'ova ku kalina oba onoonyayo obutwe obw'emmese bwa 2
Tuyanziza Petero. Tom, standard zino ani yazitusetingira era kino zitambulira mukyoke tubuuke ku bizimbe tubimba n'emyaka 5 nga sirina nnyumba so ndi failure oba nga sirina mukyala
eyasetinga standard ezo yakola olukwe ng'ayagala petro kubanga ezo standard zonna zonna bw'otunuulira n'ozeekennenya bulungi zikukulembera kukutwala mu kifo ekyo kimu olemereddwa tosobola tolina mugaso toteekwa kuba mulamu naye kyebu
genda maaso
wali owuliddeko nti chimpanzee zeetuze oba ente yeetuze tezirina standard tezirina mutendera gwe zigamba nti bw'ototuuka wano oba olemereddwa bw'okola bw'oti oba oyiseemu nedda naye kyebuzibu ekirala omuntu buli eyeetuze aba akooye bulamu omuntu tasobola kugaana kuba mulamu n'agamba kiteekeddwa kuba mulamu neyetta neerindigula ekigwo n'anywa obutwa neeyimbamu omuguwa lwaki tulowooza nti omuntu eyesse aba afunye ekizibu ku mutwe omuntu tasobola kubanga ategeera naye n'alaba nga n'agaana bugaanyi kuba mulamu n'agamba nze ŋŋaanya obulamu omuntu tasobola kukola ekyo era lwaki tulowooza nti buli muntu ku nsi ateekwa kuba avaliwinga obulamu bulina value ennene kubanga ezimu ku nsonga ezireeseza discussion eno nkakasa okuwulira ng'omuntu eyese yabadde tateekwa kwetta wabula singa yabadde musujja n'afa kyalibadde twalibadde tugamba natural cause of death naye tuli mu ggwanga nga gavumenti siri mu mawulire somehow somewhat teyawakanya ekyali mu mawulire nti bw'olaba abantu basatu nga bayimiridde ono owookusatu ateekeddwa kubeera butabika kuba yatugamba nti obukadde 14 obw'Abannayuganda bateekwa kubeera butabika naye ng'obukadde bwe 14 tebuli mu ba infant kubanga tulina ngeri gy'okakasa infant ow'emyezi 2-3 nti mulwadde wa mutwe kitegeeza baali boogera ku bantu abakuzeekuzeemu sinakindi ya myaka 7 okudda waggulu ekyo kitegeeza yali bigger population of us than 1/3 of us okubeera obubeezi omunnayuganda wansi w'eno gavumenti ofuna stresses ezikumala gweokulaba
ku Thursday kale
ono Thursday sebo not great and better ofuna stresses ezikukakasa nti toteekwa kubeera mulamu oyinza kubanga abantu bangi balowooza wansi w'eno gavumenti mpulira muganda wange muto wange Isaaya atera okukirwanako mutuufu ye naye bw'obeera wansi w'eno gavumenti olowooza nti okubeera omunnakenya yaddeko okusinga okubeera munnayuganda era n'olowooza nti okubeera e Rwanda walungi okusinga okubeera naye ate nga tosobola kugenda eyo engeri z'obulamu ebitunyigiriza obutategeera we tuli nga Peter bwagambye ebintu bingi bireetera abantu okwetta era kati tulowooza olaba bw'obadde oyanjula ogambe nti abadde alabikanga ali obulungi alina contract kitegeeza alinamu akasente kubanga tulowooza nti omuntu okubaamu akasente kubeera bulungi nedda abantu omuntu okubeera obulungi ekisookerera kusooka kwetegeera na kutegeera wano wooli waliwo ebizibu ebyawo ate oteekwa okubeera omupambazi olwanagane nabyo paka okufala okulijja kukutwale naye nga tewesse nga wano wakunyumira olw'obudde naye abantu bangi balowooza nti abasajja ekibaleetera okufa ennyo kubanga teboogera bizibu byabwe era kyali nga nsonga laba n'abantu balala naye ndooza abantu abo tebategeera butegeezi musajja kikyali kubanga singa badde bategeera omusajja babadde bamanyi nti mukikula kye mu ngeri ze ekyogenda ng'asamwa nti kino kyanyize kino kyankole tekimuliimu obwo si bulema oyo omusajja bwatyo bwali ate ekibata kibutayogera kubanga nabadde nsoma article emu I think yesterday nti abantu bangi mu nsi ziri ezirina therapies n'engeri y'okubudaabuda abatawala by'ebike nti beetuga baseeking help nga bamaze n'okufuna help mwene betta
tuyanze Tom. Bob.
Yeah, mental health is real. It is not the first time. I think it has been with us since time memorial. You know, just that sometimes maybe the environment either increases it. We don't know the statistics, but I don't know personally. I know synergies or Marco following, but the fact on ground is that mental health is real, and people need to be aware about it. I think the solution, the government or NGOs, we need to reach out to people to know that they can get help through counseling. Because people specialize in these things. Someone may commit suicide because they have not been able to talk to someone, and they hear an alternative and they hear some other facts around life. So maybe the people they've been speaking to are their relatives, their friends who are not guiding them enough. So there are specialties, there are people who have studied mental health, who can do this counseling. There has to be a program that a number either kuma TV crossing once in a while that if you need help, please call this number. If you need help with counseling, if you need help with mental health, of course some resources of which sometimes our government is focusing on other things. But this is an area where the government is also called upon to say, hey, there's mental health issues. Please, can we look into it? What solutions can we come up with? Sorry for the lost life, but it's another statistics. It's not something, it's just another statistic that brings the fact to life. And as Peter said, I agree with him completely. Our things like religion, which are supposed to help, we know that the religion in Uganda, or even what people call Christianity or whatever faith people are, there's a lot of fakeness in there. Religion is teaching completely different things. Whatever information they are giving is not helping to the believer who is attending those fellowships. It's all about rules. Yet religion is supposed to come in, or faith is supposed to come in and bridge some of these gaps to show people that by the way, there's a higher power who knows this. By the way, it is not the end of life. But unfortunately, most religions are focusing on do's and don'ts. They are not really giving information that is helpful to their followers to be able to lean into such groups when they are stressed, or when they have mental issues, and they know that there are alternatives. It's demonic. It's all these other things. The way you can mention issues that cause mental health, but there is help, even if it means going to Butavika, even if it means doing all these things. People just need to reach out, and the government just needs to make people more aware about these things.
Thank you, Bob. Banga.
Yes, sir. Mental health. Tosobola kubanga ne bw'obanga oyagala okumaintaininga a health mentality oba health state of mind, oba okyali awo n'olaba ku TV gundi yabbye obwonge bwe buti, gundi yakoze bw'ati, nga musajja wattu tolinamu wadde ekuba ennyonyi, mu butuufu kikumalamu amaanyi. Honestly, bw'otereeza politics oba olina ebintu by'osolovenzi to a certain percentage, kubanga gw'oli awo moderator, simanyi nnyo status yo, naye abantu abasinga Abannayuganda yo battling muzaddewo talina kyalya, talina ddagala, o batolinga baana bo tebalina school fees, tebalina kyakulya, tosobola tolinamu kasente mu nsawo kw'osigazaamu kusasula rent, leeta luno oguleyo akataka ozimbe. Oli awo olina mikwano gye be mwasoma nabo bakuyisaako embisi olw'okuba baana ba gundi. Kati gwe onojjawa health state of mind really. So ebintu ebitumenya ebitutta byetooloolera awo. Ate ekirala njagala tukkirize nti mu butuufu bwe tunaabanga tweggyeemu kano ka comparison era si ye enkomeredde nga Peter abadde agamba nti maybe okwekomparinga nakyo kituleetedde obuzibu, but for me I choose to disagree kubanga bw'oteekomparinga na mulala when will you grow onookula ddi lwakuba nti kati obuzibu obubeera nti abamu beekomparinga ate ne bayitawo olina kwekomparinga n'omuntu n'omuyigirako n'ogamba Isaiah oyo yawasa yakuba embaga ey'akabenje nange nandyagadde nkole ku mbaga eyaki ey'akabenje naye ate totunuulira Isaiah mbaga gy'akoze n'ogamba nange nze kaakati ndijjawa n'omukazi first of all ye kaakati nze embaga eyo sisobola awo wabeera obuzibu. So abantu by our nature twegomba era teryakkirizibwa ku kitujjako naye bwe tuba twegombye tubeere n'ekkomo within your circles. Nze ebiseera bingi bakyali bange nga bampita byamugende tunywe nga nze mmanyi sirinaamu nga mbawaayo awo akasonga yatugende tukyakale yatugende ku boat cruise nga sigenda but still ne solution y'eddiini bannange nze eddiini nandyagadde n'okugigoba mu ggwanga kubanga it has done more harm. Katutunulya bujingo muzze kusaba ozze kunoonya mukama munsonyi omukozesa ng'example nandyagadde okukozesa pasita betulina kuno naye bavuma muforamu eno bavuma kati oba okyali awo n'abasoloozaamu oba okyali awo n'abayisaamu eggaali ze mwakuŋŋaanyizza omwaka guli nga temuzimubuuza eventually ekyo nakyo
bapasita betulina nno kuno bakkiririzaamu bali bonna naye akimanyi mu mutima naye alina okuntema
awo gye wagenza okunona obuyambi.
I might even commit suicide because of mpanga.
Oba okyali awo gye wagenza okunona obuyambi n'obuddamu okubuddaabudibwa nga naye abafudde lusuku abanyuunyuuta abakola ki oba okyali awozeeyo kewaka ku kativiko ka free to air ogenda okulaba amonga atuusizza empya Nobert Mao abasizza embaga simanyi mukyala Kenzo minisita ali mu kuzina ku gundi ku kivulu kya gundi kugamba
mpanga nga mu first place bannange.
But anyway, back to the point. Mental health, guys, is a big challenge. And we have not invested as a country in social services. Maybe tulowooza tebiina makulu kuba kati tetwajja na mmundu social services ng'omuntu abuddaabudibwa tumanyi kimu kutta. Abantu baalinanga abakulembeze ab'edda baatulekerawo structures where people can go and show their dissatisfaction. Nga bw'omanyi nti osobola ogenda ne weekalakaasa oba genda otuuleko ku state square weeba ku ntulo oba ogendewo owandiika ekipapula kyo kiwe ne kati abeebakawo ku state square mubama you can no longer go and show your dissent to whatever issues you have, be it political, be it social. Even when a life is lost, it does not roll enough heads. Tibanne omusajja yafudde kale ng'omuntu omu agambye is just another statistic. Maybe that speaks volume about how we value life in this country. A life is lost and heads don't roll. Do we even have a minister in charge of social services? Tulina minister w'abaana tava ku mikolo abaazina. Tulina kugamba do we value social services in this country? Abantu basomye waliyo mu gundi waliyo mu universities simanyi za sociology those courses social service social sciences bakola mu ebiki. Yes sir.
Omuntu bw'akugamba nti enkya gyange ku makya nkuwa embuzi nejja n'atakuwa mbuzi n'agamba kati komawo ku Thursday n'agamba nti komawo ate wiiki ejja komawo luli komawo ekisipika kya ddalu
omalirizanga ne transport
yagula tulina tusuubiza wano bulijjo mwaka gundi ngenda kuva ku bukulembeze mwaka gundi ngenda kuva ku bulembeze mwaka gundi ekisipika kya ddalu nakyo kubanga tulisitasinga mental health. Omuntu nga musobola okukozesa ekigambo pathological liar. Ekyo si kika kya mental issue. Mbadde ngezaako kubiitinga up point yose.
Yes, sir.
Era wenda mubiitinga point zammwe mwebale mpanga ne.
So moderator ngamaliriza.
Moderator, is it in order omuntu okuwa information omuntu omuyeka ku bantu 10 abali ku koolo?
Ntanga yabadde ku floor sebo.
Owaye basajja baleke bali mu kintu kyabwe. Mpanga maliriza sebo.
Moderator ngamaliriza. Nti mbadde nsaba nga mmwe muli leaning mutuuseeyo obubaka bwaffe mugambe nti bannange ensi eggwawo mubeeko ebintu bye mukola ebiri basic bw'oba
you're affecting my mental health. Lwaki onteeka mu kibiina ky'abantu?
naawe oyagala kwetuga.
Nange ngenda kubuuka mu kizimbe.
So anyway, but it's a big issue. Bw'oba olina mukwano gwo mukebereko. Give him a call. Hey buddy, what's up? Kiristya oli bulungi? Ndudo okulaba jangu tukwataganeko. Just ne waba tali open okubeera naawe kina kimuyambako. Ate bannange emirimu erusi gye tukola gy'ogenda ku mulimu amateeka gakugamba do not talk about your personal life. Tuddeyo ne beewaana nga bwe naguze kino nga nze bengenda ku vacation nga bwe nina abaana bwe bati. Try as much as you can to live your personal life ewuwo ewakane mukyalawo. Moderator nene ensonga nkulu bannange abasajja abali mufune ku bakazi. Bazadde baffe baatulemerangako nga tukula. Ye bannange gwe tolina wadde omukyala naye point eri nti bw'obanga olina omukyala ewaka olina omuntu gw'oshyalingako naye ebikuluma. Ye first point of era n'eddiini ekugamba nti kyaki etandikira ku maka. Etandikira waka. The family is the smallest unit of a church. Otegeera n'olwekyo bino ebiri mu maaso ebigenda maaso mu ggwanga bimazeewo family as a unit. That's why we are seeing many of these cases. Nti family tekyali wamu. Era bannange abasumba mutuyambe preach more the gospel of togetherness as a family. Muleme kwekuusa simanyi waayo ekiweebwayo waayo ki era bijja kujja.
Era bali toyinza kumaliza.
Isaya baweeyo ekiweebwayo.
Kana kampanga kasiru nnyo. Isaya agenda mu maaso sebo. Obudde budduse naye njaba saba eddakiika nga 5 just.
Moderator nze siriiwo nze ngenda kwetuga. Mpanga netolesi yange agittattanye ne Tomu.
Tetwekwata.
Naye nze njala kwogera ku bintu bibiri byokka briefly. Ekisooka mu context ya mental health. Njagala bassebo ne bannyabo okubategeeza nti bwe tugamba mental health tuba tutegeeza ki beyond the medical world. Kubanga ekyo ndowooza nti kikulu nnyo abantu okukitegeera. Ebizibu bya mental health tebitandikira mu ddwaliro diagnosis weekolebwa. Ne tukola statistics nti ku buli bantu 3 boolaba omu mulalu. N'olwekyo miliyoni 14 ez'Abannayuganda bonna balwadde mu bwongo. Tebitandikira awo. Bitandikira mu kyempita CQ, consumption quality. Obwongo bulinga lubuto lwa muntu. Obwongo bulya. Bwe bulya bye bulidde bibuliikiriza. Ekintu kino moderator kikulu nnyo abantu okukitegeera. Ne bwe nayogera kino kyokka n'empunzika ndowooza ebisigaye tuli byogerako ku Mmande. Naye kikulu nnyo abantu okutegeera nti obwongo bulinga lubuto bulya ate bye bulidde bubikamulamu emigaso mu ebyo bye bulidde. Kaakati disaster eddako ey'omulembe gwaffe egenda okuddako era egenda n'okukwata abaana baffe ye mental health. Lwa nsonga bye tuliisa obwongo bye bigenda ovaamu health ya mento eyo oba eneebeera nnungi oba eneebeera mbi. Kati ekibuuzo ekikulu kye tulina okubuuza biki bye tuliisa obwongo bwaffe bye bino wammanga media radio TV internet kati n'ekirala kye mwakola kye muyita social media ebyo bye bintu ebiriisa obwongo bwammwe era ye health state ey'obwongo bwammwe. Media nga bwe ngitemyetemye ebitundu byayo yaripulesinga ebintu bibiri. Yaripulesinga abantu tebakyayogera na bannaabwe, abantu boogera n'ebyuma. Kakati
amala olunaku lulamba
ng'ayogera na kyuma. Kati n'asuubira okubeera n'obwongo obulungi. Omuntu abeera ku TikTok n'amala wiiki, n'abeera ku YouTube n'amala wiiki. Abantu bwe badda ewaka teboogera na bantu bannaabwe. Juzi nali ngamba omusajja nti pandemic egenda okuddako egenda kubeera ya byuma bino kuvaako abantu battiŋŋane. Singa okera ku makya TV neba nga tekola, radio neba nga tekola, essimu neba nga tekola, oba nerabiddeyo kyekirala, internet neba nga tekola, abantu batandikirawo okuttiŋŋana. As we speak today mbabuulira mazima. Kubanga ekikwatiridde obwongo bwaffe by'ebyuma bino. Kubanga byebibuliisa kati eyo quality y'obwongo bwaffe based on the quality of consumption. Kati ekyo singa nnyina obudde n'enkigaziya naye kangende ku kyokubiri mpunzike mu ddakiika emu. Ekyokubiri, abantu bakomitinga suicide era abantu tebakomitinga suicide. Abantu beetuga era abantu tebeetuga lwa nsonga emu. Lwaki wooli? What is your purpose of living? What is your reason of living? Ekireetera omuntu obutetta n'omuntu okwetta y'ensonga of living, si nsonga of not living. Oba enjawulo mugitegeera?
Nyonyolamuko, lambululamuko.
Kubanga abantu bangi bamanyi ensonga of not living naye tebamanyi ensonga of living. Abantu bamanyi ensonga lwaki sibeerawo era ekyo era bagamba kati sikyasobola kubeerawo era ne beetuga. Naye ensonga ye y'okubeerawo eri ki? Ekyokulabirako bwe kiba ng'ensonga we y'okubeerawo kulabirira famire yo, olunaku famire lwerivaawo ne bagamba nti yafiiridde mu kabenje k'emmotoka yonna, naawe lwojja okwetta kuba tokyalina nsonga ya kubeerawo. Abantu balina ensonga ez'okubeerawo nga teziri nabo, nga ziri mu bintu n'abantu. Bwe kiba ng'ensonga yo eri mu bintu n'abantu, ebintu ebyo n'abantu abo bwe binaakosebwa ojja kuba tokyalina nsonga ya kubeerawo kubanga ensonga ey'okubeerawo teri naawe, erina biri. Banaye Mukama abawa omukisa mubeere bulungi.
Wadde tuyetaaga okwongeramu awo.
tujja kwongerawo ku Mande kasita tukuvaawo.
Eddakiika zaffe ttaano tezinaba kuggwayo ssebo moderator. Tukyayagala kuwuliriza Musumba.
Musumba adduse. Mental health yo muja affecting adduse.
Oyo naye oba NRM yo mental health ye.
Muganya okuwaayo ekitundu ky'ekkumi. Kati ani ataddeko gundi? Audio. Ani ataddeko audio? Banaye musule bulungi, tujja kuddamu ku Mande.